Steven Hillenburg is one of the better-known names in animation. Born on August 21st, 1961, he was not only an animator, but also a marine biology educator. He passed away on November 26, 2018. He is best known for shows like Rocko's Modern Life and SpongeBob SquarePants, the later of which continues to air to this day. What many people don't seem to know is that Hillenburg once created an educational film featuring the Bikini Bottomites, using real-world sea creatures that resembled the creatures from the show. This project was conceived long before SpongeBob SquarePants debuted in 1999. However, it never gained the same recognition as his 1989 comic book, The Intertidal Zone, which later became the inspiration for the show. That's because the film was never supposed to be aired publicly. No source mentions it, and the only people aware of its existence were Hillenburg himself and Nickelodeon. The film faded into obscurity until October 8, 2001, when SpongeBob SquarePants was in the middle of its third season. That night, a Nickelodeon employee stumbled upon the film, titled SpongeBob's Real Life, and, without hesitation, scheduled it for broadcast. After a couple episodes of SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd Parents, the film suddenly aired late at night. Many viewers witnessed it. I was one of them. The film opened with the title card reading, SpongeBob's Real Life. It was nothing special, just the usual SpongeBob font in yellow, with smaller white text above it stating, created by Steven Hillenburg. No creation date, no credits, no mention of Nickelodeon. The background of the title card was a still image of the ocean. Or so I thought. After a few seconds, I noticed the water moving, the gentle waves overlaying the screen, bringing the image to life. The screen then faded in from black to another shot of the ocean, different from the one in the title card. That's when the narration began. In the ocean, life thrives in ways many do not understand. It was Steven Hillenburg's voice. There was no mistaking it. However, something about his tone felt off. It wasn't upbeat, like in later SpongeBob featurettes. Instead, he spoke in a deep, slow, and overly serious manner, almost clinical, as if he were narrating an upsetting documentary, rather than an educational film. As he spoke, real-life footage of various sea creatures played on screen. Each animal bore an uncanny resemblance to a SpongeBob character, except they behaved exactly as they would in nature. This wasn't particularly shocking at first. After all, the show had depicted the characters in their natural forms on multiple occasions. Episodes like Pressure in Season 2, Feral Friends in Season 10, and even the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, had already shown the characters outside their cartoonish world. But this was different. The camera focused on a yellow sea sponge clinging lifelessly to a rock. The narrator continued, his tone unwavering. A sponge lacks a nervous system. It does not think. It does not feel. It simply filters, feeding off what drifts through its body. The screen then cuts to a pink starfish, resting motionlessly on the ocean floor. Suddenly, a small fish swims too close. The starfish ejected its stomach, enveloping the prey in digestive enzymes. The narrator resumed speaking, describing the event in graphic detail. The starfish does not rip apart its meal with teeth. It does not chew. Instead, it forces its stomach out of its mouth and digests its prey alive before pulling it back inside. I felt uneasy. The camera then shifted to a turquoise octopus hovering in the dark waters, its long tentacles curling in slow, deliberate movements. Cephalopods are intelligent. They are aware of their surroundings. But in the deep, intelligence means Nothing. There was no background music. There never had been. Only the ambient sound of the ocean, the occasional gurgling of bubbles, the distant echo of underwater movement, and Stephen's hypnotic, almost menacing narration. I felt as if I were sinking into the screen. As the film progressed, the creatures became less familiar and more unsettling. The camera descended into deeper, darker waters. Hillenburg's voice grew even more ominous. Life still exists, even in total darkness. Out of the shadows, an anglerfish appeared, its bioluminescent lure glowing eerily. Its massive jaw opened, revealing long, needle-like teeth. Then, a flashlight illuminated the seafloor, revealing an enormous Japanese spider crab. It moved its spindly legs unnaturally across the ocean floor, its alien-like appearance making my skin crawl. And then the scene that would haunt many children for weeks. Above the crab, something stirred. Long, unnervingly thin arms drifted motionlessly in the dark water. The camera panned up, revealing their source, a blue-finned squid. It floated eerily, its elongated limbs extending into the abyss like tendrils. The way it moved, slow, deliberate, unnatural, sent shivers down my spine. The footage lingered far too long. It was real, unaltered. Yet, something about it felt wrong. I wondered who had recorded this for Stephen Hillenburg. The screen shifted to a bird's-eye view of the deep sea. The yellow sponge, pink starfish, and turquoise octopus, the ones from earlier, were drifting downward toward the darkness. Then, without warning, the film changed. The footage became animated. SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward were plummeting into the abyss, screaming before a monstrous whale-like creature emerged from the darkness. Its gaping mouth, lined with rows of jagged teeth, swallowed them whole. As the screen faded to black, Hillenburg delivered his final words. There are places in the ocean humans were never meant to see. Places where light does not reach, and life does not belong. The broadcast ended. I sat in silence, trying to process what I had just watched. It wasn't supernatural. It wasn't as if it was cursed, but something about it felt wrong. I wanted to record it, but by the time I thought to grab my camera, it was too late. All I managed to capture were the end credits. The next morning, Nickelodeon was flooded with complaints from horrified parents. Some reported that their children were crying and afraid to take baths. Others questioned why the network had aired something so terrifying. One parent claimed their child had become obsessed with the spider monster, the Japanese spider crab, and wouldn't stop drawing it. Viewers had nightmares. Some developed a fear of the ocean. Nickelodeon never acknowledged the broadcast. Executives dismissed it as an error. The film was pulled from rotation. No official archives exist. No copies resurfaced. One executive reportedly locked the footage away in a vault, never to be seen again. But those who saw it never forgot. It wasn't haunted. It wasn't cursed. It was just real. And sometimes, reality is the scariest thing of all.